Is this the best we can do? That's what I said to myself when I was watching the presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and the current President Joe Biden. I want to make it 100% clear. I'm not an expert at politics, but it certainly doesn't take one to tell there has to be something deeply wrong with the current system for us to end up where we are right now. This is definitely not an insult to either candidate. I just feel like the biggest superpower in the world can and should be able to produce better and brighter people to lead it. I can go on and on about why this.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Feels wrong, but let's do a deeper dive on why we ended up here in the first place. For a very long time now, the dominance of the two major parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, has profoundly shaped the political landscape of the United States. The genesis of America's two-party system can be traced back to the Federalist and Anti-Federalist debates of the late 18th century, which laid the groundwork for political factions. Over centuries, these factions evolved into modern Democrats and Republicans. Since then, these two parties used everything in their power to stay as one of the only two choices America has. When you hear someone talking about this topic, they always paint the winner-takes-all system as the biggest cause of this issue. And if you ask me, they are absolutely right. By winner takes all, I don't just mean the candidate with the majority of the votes claiming all representation. I also think that just because how big the two parties are, they get almost all of media attention. During election cycles, media pushing these two parties only often causes polarization and further binary thinking among voters. Candidates from the both sides of the aisle emphasize differences rather than any common ground. This leads to a situation where even the slightest compromise is seen as a fatal weakness. If you support Party A, you better believe that they can do no wrong and always have the best intentions. And that dirty Party B, they are going to lit the country on fire if they ever come to power, God forbid. There have been good things accomplished by Republican presidents, just like how good things were also accomplished by Democrat presidents. I just feel like the problem isn't these two parties themselves. The problem is that we have no other choice. In my humble opinion, the media focusing on the two big parties only is basically turning into a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. You have to realize, media companies aren't doing their reporting because of the good of their heart. Most of them are for-profit corporations. If the concept of two parties relentlessly attacking each other is what the public reacts to, you can be sure that the media is going to keep reporting on it. From big media giants' perspective, the reaction and the engagement they get from the public doesn't necessarily have to be positive. They usually report negative news in politics because it attracts more attention and engagement from people. It's simple as that, really. Controversies, scandals, and conflicts between parties and candidates increase viewer interest and ratings. Another important thing in this digital age we are living is the sensationalism by the media not only increases viewership, but it also drives online traffic and social media interactions. I'm pretty sure you've seen people losing their minds even in YouTube videos regarding policies from either party. If both parties and the media institutions that support them always follow the same storylines, this helps them so well, maybe too well, with keeping people invested and engaged with the ideology they are following. So, what is the reason why a third, a fourth, or even a fifth option couldn't ever branch out in the American political system? Well, I think, other than media bias, it's very easy to see that corporate lobbyists play a big part in this. Corporate lobbyists are employed by companies and businesses to advocate for their interests inside the government and its agencies. They seek to influence legislators and policymakers by offering data, doing research, and supporting policies that fit their clients' objectives. As you may have guessed, financial donations to political campaigns and networking with legislators go a long way for establishing their influence. Corporate lobbyists use this influence to reach their objectives, which include advocating for government contracts that help their corporate clients, alongside with favorable rules for them to play with. I know, this all sounds shady, and I hate to break it to you, but it really is. Corporate lobbyists have a dark side in that they can influence government policies excessively, usually giving corporate profits top priority over well-being of the public. This impact can cause distortions in democratic decision-making procedures. Public trust and government integrity also erodes because of this. But why do I think the two-party system makes political lobbying worse? Well, if you think about it, the two-party system provides corporate lobbyists with a streamlined pathway to influence government policy. By focusing their efforts on two dominant parties only, lobbyists can strategically allocate resources to key decision-makers within those parties, maximizing their impact on legislation and regulations. The two-party system just makes this way easier than it would be with a diversified democracy which has multiple different and strong parties. If we just take a step back and assess the current situation, it almost seems funny. I'm pretty sure you have seen this famous video of Senator Mitch McConnell, or the in-depth reporting of Senator Nancy Pelosi's stock market trades. Honestly, I don't even want to waste my and your time and comment on them. I think they pretty much speak for themselves. Or should I say, can't even speak in some circumstances. Politicians such as Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell keep power bases by deliberately aligning with powerful factions within their party. Since there are only two parties, once you are in a powerful position within one, you are pretty much good for life. I think it would be a ridiculous thing to say that this can be a healthy thing for our democracy. I know, I said it's kind of funny to analyze all of these from a broader perspective. But if you ask me, it should never feel funny. Because who gets elected, how and why, is literally one of the most important things that affect everyone living in the US. The people we elect and their policies dictate not only our lives, but also future generations. I'm pretty sure you agreed and disagreed with some of the points I went over in this video. That's for sure. But at the end of the day, I hope we have a baseline understanding. There are polls that show almost half of Americans don't feel properly represented by either party and wish for more options. Unfortunately though, in the current political climate, no one is allowed to have any opinions other than whatever the two big parties throw around. If there's an issue people are discussing and can't decide on, your opinion must be either a hard no or a hard yes, regardless of what's going on. Unfortunately, this even makes sense in the current political system. No matter how many diverse ideas you may have about things, at the end of the day, you're basically forced to vote either Republican or Democrat. Yes, you might not agree with the Democratic candidate fully, but you sure have to vote for them because their opponent is evil incarnate, right? Or vice versa. I'm hoping you get my point here. Critics of the current situation argue that the two-party system can't ever hope to represent the full spectrum of American public opinion. And I highly agree with that. We just reduce complex policy discussions to simplistic, I hate this one thing because you love it, I love this other thing because you hate it type of arguments. In the end, knowingly or unknowingly, we end up neglecting comprehensive solutions to societal challenges and reinforce partisan divides. What are the possible solutions to all this mess though? Comparing the US political systems with other democracies show that there are many different options out there. There are many variations of electoral systems that allow multiple parties to coexist and prosper. Looking at these systems for inspiration offer insights into how different frameworks can impact political representation, governance stability, and public trust in democratic institutions, which I think is the most important part. I'm not saying that changing the current system will be the easiest thing in the world. I'm just saying that it is possible. I just dream of a future where the American people aren't divided further and have the maturity to understand government-level policies aren't so black and white, but mostly grey. If you made it this far, I really would appreciate if you share your thoughts about this topic with me in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you and have an awesome day or night.